I'm like, guys, please, please. I can only take so much. But they're going to embark on this crazy ass plan for Rick to receive the echelon briefing and, so they can take down the CRM. I'm like, y'all have kids, you need to get back to it. We're almost done. One more episode left. And then we're saying goodbye to the ones who live. No idea if they're going to do a second season. I would love them to. But also, this series was such a gift. I'll be okay if we don't get a second season. This episode was very much a chill episode. This episode was the first time where there was no tension between Rick and Michonne. Because episode 1, we had Rick trying to escape. Episode 2, we had Michonne trying to find Rick. Episode 3, there was tension. Episode 4, there was hella tension. Like, are they going to have to separate? Is Michonne going to have to turn her back and choose her kids over trying to bring this man back? Episode 5, we're on the same page. We're having fun. Rick has chosen his family. They're on a road trip back to Alexandria. It's flirting and smiles, eating together. Rick is being romantic. He's talking about picking a gift for his son. He's picking a gift for Michonne. Callbacks to how they got together with the spearmint and baking soda toothpaste. And it was so refreshing and such a gift to hear Rick say, I was in love with my son's best friend and I didn't know what to do, which signaled to Richonne fans everywhere that, like, yeah, he was in love with that woman for a very, very long time. And people have their, opinions on, like, when do we think he fell in love with her? I'm one of the people who thinks that he fell in love with her during that trip to Terminus. I think he had a crush on Michonne from the very beginning. I think he was attracted to her from the very beginning. By the time she came back and she gave him the razor, that man was crushing hard and he liked her a lot. By the time she found them after the prison fell, and, they stayed in the house for a couple of days, and then it was just her, him, and Carl, and they were trying to figure out their next moves. He fell in love with her on the road there. So he gives her the necklace, the M necklace, and, booze, gifts, lovemaking. He ends up proposing to her. I called it, he ends up making a vow to her, because to me, he made a vow. But, I hear it's a proposal, and the proposal was so beautiful. I love the vulnerability that Andy added in Rick's voice when he says, Michonne, I've been meaning to say something. It's so cute because he's already with her. And, she's been taking care of their kids. She had another kid. They're going to repopulate the world together. But he's still nervous to say these words. And I think Rick had that vow buttoned up before he asked Gabriel to marry them. It's either before or he came up with it after he asked. Like, immediately after he asked, he worked on his own. I think he had the vow written before he asked Gabriel to marry them, being away from Michonne, and now with her finding him. The subsequent years have only made those vows truer for Rick. It's a broken world, Michonne, and you're the only thing that puts it back together. Till my last breath, I am yours. And Michonne saying, I could have never seen this happening, but it had to be you. Let's think about Michonne's journey, right? From being the Walking Dead after she loses Andre, after she suffers that ultimate betrayal from her boyfriend, couldn't watch over their kid. I think Andre was 3, and she becomes this calcified just fighter. Cannot die, unwilling to die, unable to die, but is not looking for community, for people, for connection at all. She's just out there walking amongst the dead. And then she comes across Andrea, which is the first, crack in her shell. And then she comes across the prison and Carl, which is the second crack in her shell. There's Judith, there's Rick, and then there's Glenn and Carol and everybody else. And she finds the community. And, at first she's looking for the governor, I think, trying to, in addition to looking for the governor and trying to eliminate the threat, trying to keep distance between her and these people, not getting, attached or anything like that. But then she does. And she invests in the community. And she wants to protect the community. And these are now her people. These are her family. And, yeah, she could have never seen this happening. Having these words spoken to her by anybody, having these words spoken to her by Rick. So there's the layer of I could have never seen this happening considering what I suffered at the beginning of this apocalypse. And then I could have never seen this happening after I lost you and thought like that was it. I would have to remake myself and remake my life without you in it. Could have never seen it happen, but it could only be you, Rick. Like, yes, you are the only man who could like die and come back from the dead, who could be kidnapped and spend 7 years or so trying to escape and come back to me. Like, it could only be him. It's so beautiful. These two are so perfect as individuals and even better together. And so, they had their honeymoon, their reconnection, and, Michonne found clarity in the end. Now she's on board with taking down the CRM. I'm like, guys, please, please. I can only take so much. But they're going to embark on this crazy ass plan for Rick to receive the echelon briefing and, so they can take down the CRM. I'm like, y'all have kids, you need to get back to it. Other parts of this episode was Ma'am Jadis. Jadis, rest in peace, or hell, who knows. So I didn't spend a lot of time with Jadis. Like I said, I stopped watching the show after Rick left. But Pollyanna acted the hell out of her scenes. That line Jadis says, I wish I would have died an artist, was so powerful. Because what I take from it is, I wish I would have died before I had to shred my soul and remake myself into Jadis, into the person who's going to survive no matter what. And the reason she gave for coming after Rick and Michonne, I understood. The reason she gave essentially for sticking with the CRM, I understood. She was tired of losing. She was, and not like losing like, oh, I want to win, but like losing community, making connections with people and then losing them, making connections with people, thereby building routine that involves other people and then losing them. She attached herself to the CRM. It is interesting to me that although Jadis she wanted community, the words take me back. I don't know how she left things with Maggie and them, but it's interesting that take me back was never an option. Take me back to Alexandria. She clearly had a soft spot for Gabriel and thus for Alexandria. Testament to how ruthless Jadis is and has been. I did believe there was a 60% chance she would shoot Gabriel. I do find it interesting, and I think maybe it's her guilt. This is how she atones, not really, for what she's done, not just to Rick, but to other people, which is to choose like the militarized, not very warm, lonely community, as opposed to Alexandria, where she could be part of a real community where the people actually care about her. She's not just a helmet, carrying out a mission. It was a very good episode, a much needed reprieve. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I don't know if the finale will end on a cliffhanger. And if it does end on a cliffhanger, is it the kind of cliffhanger where like we're going to get a season 2 to solve it? Or is it going to be like it's a cliffhanger and you just use your imagination to come up with what happens next because we ain't coming back? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. See you for the next one.